Hello, everybody. Welcome to Get Connected. And today I am extremely excited because we are unveiling for you, our Get Connected network, an exciting new game-changing campaign called the All-Inclusive Boston. And you are going to get the opportunity to meet the team behind this just groundbreaking, game-changing campaign, a new view of Boston with a diverse and inclusive lens. And now I would say that we are going to share with you the all-inclusive video so that you will have a feel of what this campaign is all about. So take it away, Lily.
Boston. It's the city you know, the city of history, the city of champions. But we are also a city of people, a city of resilient, passionate, determined, loving people who have overcome odds and stared down challenges. A city of cobblestones and corner stores, mom and pops, five-star shops, unwavering classics. This is a city where new voices are emerging, determined to work harder, dream bigger, and become stronger. Whatever you seek, whoever you are, there's a place for you here. An unexpected adventure, a fresh flavor, a sound you've never heard before. Our doors are open. Our tables are set. This is Boston, and we are all inclusive.
Well, there you have it. A little taste of what this campaign looks and feels like. And if you've been traveling around Boston like I have, you probably have seen this on digital display, on bus stops, on buses. It's like everywhere. And we are excited. Now it gives me great pleasure to turn things over to my very dear friend and sister, WCVB Channel 5 City Line host, Karen Holmes Ward, who will moderate today's exciting event.
Colette, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us at this fabulous event to learn more about the All-Inclusive Boston and the creative team behind the project. I'm so pleased to be moderating the event and just excited as everybody else is to learn more about this game-changing tourism campaign. I have to say, I was driving home from work and I saw an MBTA bus go by with this all-inclusive on the side, and I don't want to say almost had an accident, but I was distracted. I was like, what city am I in? This campaign is absolutely fantastic. And today we have 4 panelists who are going to talk about the vital roles that they played in the campaign. First, Colette Phillips, CEO and founder of Colette Phillips Communications. She is, of course, a master at creating positive solutions and outcomes to solve challenging problems for her clients and society, and recognizing that there was a lack of access to information of interest to residents and communities of color and others seeking access to those constituents. In 2000 and 2007, she and her firm published Kaleidoscope, Boston's first comprehensive multicultural resource directory to address that issue. Boston Magazine called it the ultimate networking tool for people left out of the network. And Colette has not stopped ever since. Next, let's meet Darren Bascom. He is founder and managing director of the Proverb Agency. Darren is the founder and creative vision behind the unique approach to branding of Proverb. And under Darren's leadership, Proverb has become a sought-after partner for brands seeking to apply design thinking to their businesses, products, and communications. He's a native Bermudian who cut his teeth in exhibit design, and Darren has set out to create the type of agency that the industry tends to lack: a dynamic, international, and culturally relevant perspective. He's won lots of awards. His stuff has been seen all over the place: Fortune, Fast Company, the New York Times, and we want to hear with him on his creative input on this campaign. Martha Sheridan is the president and CEO of the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. In her role, she leads an organization with over 1,200 member companies across New England, whose mission is to generate a robust visitor economy for the region. Sheridan joined the GBCVB in 2019. Before that, she was president and CEO of the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau. And with Martha's arrival has come a breath of fresh air at what they're doing at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And meet Kate Davis. She's director of the Office of Tourism, Sports, and Entertainment for the mayor. And in this role, she and her team work with the local tourism industry, Boston and New England-based sports teams and other business, nonprofits, organizations. They're there to promote and attract both national and international visitors and events to the city of Boston. Kate and her team also oversee the production of dozens of events produced by the city of Boston every year. You guys have been to many of them: the Gospel Fest, Country in the City, the Mayor's Enchanted Trolley Tour. I was on that when my son was a little tyke. And prior to that, prior to taking this role, Kate served as the Director of Operations for the Mayor's Office of Economic Development. And so Kate also is very aware of the need to attract inclusive visitors to the city of Boston. So let's get going and find out how this all-inclusive campaign began. Colette, I'm going to start with you. So this was the single largest non-construction contract that was awarded by the city. Get Connected is the leading organization on this campaign. So tell us, what was your vision at the outset?
Well, I have to give both Kate and former Mayor Walsh some props, because they were very explicit that they wanted a campaign that would address Boston's image and to ensure that we were able to highlight and document communities of color and businesses of color, BIPOC businesses that were affected by the pandemic. So going into this, I knew that it was very important for us to create a campaign that would show Boston the way those of us who live here see Boston. And so I was, I think, very fortunate to pick the right partners. And my choice was Darren Bascom, because anybody who knows Darren, they know that he is a creative genius. And the other partner was the premier and leading organization that promotes Boston, the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. I was shocked to hear Martha said that we were the only firm that actually picked them. I mean, how could you put RFP together and not include the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau? So when I met with Darren, my first time I talked with him about the campaign, I said, Darren, I want a campaign that is similar to the I Love New York, something that would have a lasting impact 30 years from now. People should remember it, they should be talking about it, and who knows, they may even reintroduce it to the city. And I was shocked that our city had never ever done a campaign like this to promote the city. So my vision was a campaign that's focused on the diversity that we know, Darren and Martha and the city, and one that would last like the I Love New York campaign.
So let me turn to Darren. Colette Phillips, pick you, Darren, and your.
Can we ask everybody to please mute their respective?
Call from Okoya, Giru.
Please mute your phones.
The world, the virtual world. So anyway, Darren, Colette picked you as a creative partner on this campaign, and talk about some of the underlying narrative and the thoughts that you had initially for the all-inclusive Boston campaign. I mean, as I look at this, I see in this the visuals for this campaign a city of Boston that has never been presented before. Talk more about the creative vision.
Great. No, thank you for the question. Yeah, you know, as you know, I've been in Boston for some time. You know, I came here to go to college. Almost 30 years ago. I've been able to raise a family here. Been able to launch a successful business here. And oftentimes, whenever I would have friends that would come to visit, oftentimes they came with, a pre-existing, suite of, expectations in terms of, what the city might have or promise. And, and oftentimes, after an afternoon or, a weekend or what have you, their opinions were often changed. And, and this has been something that I've sort of seen, lived, experienced, for decades. So as we started this project, what we were able to do was to commission a market study, and look at both the opinions of residents. We looked at the opinions of likely travelers. One of the things that we found was that while Boston is well known as a city, it isn't as well known as a tourist destination. And in the absence of that information, it's oftentimes infilled with images from popular culture, whether those are movies that we may have all seen, whether that's through advertising, even the success of our sports teams and sort of sports culture. And I would say that, many of those takeaways, aren't particularly helpful when you're trying to promote, travel or hospitality. We even heard that our history is well known, but but we aren't always seen as being particularly welcoming, or that the city has a perception around it, as being racist or inhospitable. We also found inside of that same market research that when people learned more about the city and better understood all that it had to offer, or how diverse it is, or more about our cultural offerings, that their interests really were piqued. And so we tried to create a campaign that both spoke to existing residents, and so if that's as simple as being a little more creative about where you want to take out from tonight, or for a potential visitor to make Boston part of its consideration set. All inclusive, is an idea that we think is central to our history. The city of Boston's no stranger to revolution or demands for representation. And so we really tried to, come up with a concept that we thought was both thought-provoking, and organic, to the city and what it represents.
Kate, let me turn to you. I've not seen the market research that Darren just spoke about, but as someone who's lived in Boston for a long time and have friends and family who visit the city, I would imagine that most people think of Boston in terms of Faneuil Hall, the Freedom Trail, the waterfront, Bunker Hill, and those things that I've mentioned do attract a lot of tourism. I think Faneuil Hall is perhaps one of the most visited tourist locations in the country. But Kate, when the city was putting together this RFP and wanting to reach out to do this, what was the mission? What was the goal that the city had in mind?
Well, it started back last September, right? When we were, well, a few months before that, we were talking about how we're going to reopen the city. And we decided to look at ways we could reopen it in a really equitable way. And the tourism industry was hurt unlike any other industry. We lost about 70% of forecasted visitors, and about 10% of jobs in Boston are in that industry. So we wanted to figure out a way to bring that sector back. And we had the opportunity to do it in an equitable way. So we released this RFP. We wanted to draw a more diverse audience of visitors. We wanted to drive economic growth to ethnically diverse neighborhoods, the neighborhoods outside of, we call it from Fenway to the Garden, so not the traditional areas, but there's so much to see in Boston and do. And the CVB had started highlighting these neighborhoods, so the work was underway, but we wanted to really take that and lift these neighborhoods up, and not only for visitors outside of Boston, but for people who live here, just to look beyond their own, backyard. To, if you live in EC like me, to get on the train and go to Alston for the day. I think a lot of people don't do that, so we wanted to spotlight these cultural assets that a lot of people don't know about. And we put out this RFP. We received 9 applications, and Colette and her team hit it out of the park. Colette has been around Boston for a really long time. She understood right away what we were looking for. And since the city had never done a marketing campaign, it was really important that the CVB was involved, because that's their expertise. And then working with Darren has been just wonderful. Back then it was called the Visit Boston. We didn't even know, what we were getting ourselves into in the beginning. And then now that all inclusive is, the whole city gets to see it. We're so proud.
It's very nice, very nicely done. Martha, it's just amazing. For the first time in the history of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, it received funding from the city to support the tourism and hospitality industry. I mean, what? You would think that prior to this, there would have been a partnership in place. Talk about the change in strategy, the impact of the campaign to date. And I know when you came from Providence, it's a much more diverse city. What were some of the things that were on your to-do list when you arrived here in Boston?
Sure. So first off, the funding issue is a unique one in the Commonwealth, in that when I arrived here, it became very clear to me that tourism across the Commonwealth is underfunded. And that's not the fault of the city of Boston. I think it's just the way the administration and the legislature allocate funds. So we knew we had our work cut out for us. Just to, by way of background, we received, the only public funding my agency receives is $2.5 million from the Tourism Trust Fund, and that's to market 45 cities and towns.
And that's through the state?
That's through the state.
Okay.
When we found out that the city was going to make this investment with the CARES Act funds, of course, we were thrilled. The timing could not have been better, given, as Kate mentioned, how devastated the tourism industry was. And as far as how we shifted our strategy, I think Kate mentioned we had already started promoting neighborhoods as part of our core program, except that, again, funding was limited, so we had to roll it out slowly as funds became available to us, and we really couldn't gain the traction we needed with the limited amount of funds that we had. So being able to partner with Darren and Colette on this campaign has really been a game changer for our efforts, for our agency, and really has allowed us to, I think, shine a spotlight on what makes Boston such an amazingly unique and special city. And as Darren alluded to, when you don't invest in destination marketing, and technically our agency is called a destination marketing organization, there are hundreds of us across the US in every city and county and town, and we are allowing other people to tell our story for us. And when we saw the research, it became clear to me that the lack of investment in tourism promotion in Boston and in the Commonwealth had a very negative impact on our image across the country. So we knew we had our work cut out for us, and I was really excited to partner with these amazing people. I think we have a perfect chemistry, and we really, between the three of us, had all that was needed. You know, I'm on the, you know, more strategy side as it relates to tourism development. Colette, of course, is an icon in the city of Boston, and so ingrained in the community and in the know. And then, of course, we've already talked a little bit about Darren's brilliance. So all of that really combined to make it a really, I think, impactful and meaningful campaign. You know, as far as coming to Boston, I do have to say, and Providence was an amazing city to work for, and we worked really hard to elevate the profile there. And we did have dedicated funds, by the way, to do that. I had more money to market the city of Providence from a public source than I have in Boston, which is crazy, right? But I will say, I found my entry into Boston to be amazing. I love this city, in Bay Village. I was welcomed with open arms from every aspect of the community, and my network continues to grow. And a funny story is that we did this entire campaign virtually. None of us, I had met Colette once before in person. Otherwise, no one had met each other in person. So we did this all via Zoom and via phone. And that was an incredible experience. First time I met Darren, I looked up at him. He's like 6'6", and I was like, my goodness. And we all had a laugh. But we did finally get together last week. We had a great lunch celebration, and they had to kick us out of the restaurant. I mean, unbelievable. Like, we could not get enough of each other. We could have talked for hours and hours more. And it just kind of, I think, for us, certified the fact that we just had this great chemistry and this great partnership. And I think the future is going to hold many great programs for us to execute on. So,
Kate, I want to stay with you for a minute. You know, I am from Cleveland, Ohio, but I've lived in Boston longer than I was in Cleveland. And, you know, a lot of my friends from outside the city said, you know, why do you stay in Boston? Darren said, you know, there are so many interesting little pockets of things that people don't know about. Kate, you made reference to that too, about getting on the train, going from Eastie to Alston. Martha, you know, you made reference to it. You know, why has it taken so long to shine a light on the fabulousness that is the city of Boston?
Well, I think that Boston's a city full of neighborhoods, and in leadership, our mayor has, you know, when you're inside City Hall, it's all about the neighborhoods. It just didn't leave. This office used to just be arts, culture, and special events. So it was really focused on, as far as tourism went, it was really focused on these big events to bring tourists into town, but it was also for the residents. There wasn't like a real focus on what, like, marketing the city in any other way than those. Like, it was an events office, bringing film. We work with all the films that come into town. But in the previous administration, they split this office, and arts and culture went off, and they have their own cabinet, and they could really focus on the arts. And this office became to really focus on tourism, really focus on neighborhoods. So it's just been a natural progression to get to the point where we're now marketing the city. But as far as our office goes, we've always focused on different neighborhoods. We do events in every neighborhood. If you've been on the trolley tour, you know it stops in every neighborhood. It's just that we just weren't focusing on telling everybody else about it. But now we understand that we really need to focus on that.
And through the main streets.
And the main streets
efforts,
yep.
Yes.
Which is undergoing a big renewal as well this year. So,
Darren, do quickly just to say, here's why I think the city and this Commonwealth oftentimes neglect to invest in tourism. It's because there's this common wisdom that, well, I can't get my aunt a hotel room for under $500 in Boston. Why do we need to market? And that's just not a good way to operate. You know, Coca-Cola is popular, but you know they spend millions and millions of marketing every year. So I think the pandemic had that silver lining effect where, you know what, they're like, okay, we can't just expect people to come anymore. We're gonna have to work at it.
Martha, how has your membership responded to the campaign?
Oh, they've loved it. It's been amazing. You know, the first time we showed it to our board, they gave us some feedback that we were able to incorporate. They were very pleased with it. And, you know, our members are really all about promoting what's new and different in Boston. So I think that they welcome it as a breath of fresh air. And I think they're really looking forward to the next iteration, which I'm sure Colette will talk about that's to come later this summer.
Okay, Darren, let's go back to you and talk about the creative process of creating a massive ad campaign like this in the middle of a pandemic, all on Zoom. How do you get it out of your brain, out into the universe?
Yeah, I mean, so just to give you some context, this RFP was issued, at the start of October. It was penned at the start of November. At that time, because it was CARES Act funding, we had to be done in the can and invoiced by the end of the year. And so that's, an exceptionally, compressed time frame to try to approach something like this within. And so the upside was that, we were able to, get direct exposure to the market research as it was coming in. We were sort of, up late at night, on Zooms, trying to, sort of analyze what we were hearing and things along those lines. On top of that, it's not just, how do you, create and conceive, a campaign inside of a pandemic. It's also how do you execute it, And so, we really tried to be intentional in everything that we were doing here. If you just given the origins of where we're starting out, if you look at the communities that have been disproportionately impacted by COVID, they're Black, brown, and immigrant. Those communities also serve as the backbone of travel and hospitality. And so we really tried to be intentional with, everyone that we reached out in order to be a part of this in terms of our collaborators, but we didn't stop at those communities. It was also about, LGBTQ plus, and how do we.
But Darren, talk about the image selection. Some of the images in that place, I'm like, where am I? Am I?
Wow, thank you for all the prompts. And so I would say that, part of it was, that we wanted to, at the end of this, and Colette and I oftentimes joked, that we wanted to stop apologizing for having chosen to live or launch a career in Boston, and so for us, while nothing in here is staged and there are no actors and all of these are real events, we really tried to sort of curate, a suite of events that advanced this storyline or really kind of building on this idea of maybe you don't know Boston. And so, while, the things that happen between Fenway Park and the Freedom Trail are incredibly important, they don't tell the whole story. We also enlisted some incredible collaborators. Our lead photographer is Harry Scales, who's a young, Dorchester-born photographer, is a street photographer who's gotten a lot of attention during a lot of the demonstrations. One of his partners is Jeffrey Baptiste, also an incredible photographer. Antu was our lead videographer, who was also incredible. We worked with Portia, the city's poet laureate, as the narrator for this. And so while we wanted to not just showcase sort of new people or new places, we also wanted to represent some of the more familiar places in a way that felt either more hospitable or that emphasized the level of spatial justice, presenting the MFA, with lawn chairs, out front, or,
and that beautiful Cholula, is that the glass? Yeah, just the way you shot it,
Yeah. And some of the other amazing moments, when the city really has, come together. And so, the idea of the campaign is, is that, the things that we're talking about here, we're not going to be able to solve all of them inside of 6 weeks. But, if we're really able to sort of inspire people to take more of this on a daily basis, we certainly can get to where we want to go.
But the expression "perception is reality" comes to mind, and
Yes.
Candelaria made a point of comment section. You can't leave it to Hollywood to tell the city story. So what we see coming out of Boston are the Ben Affleck movies and the City on the Hill and Good Will Hunting and which are fabulous movies,
Right.
but we don't always see mainstream media about other communities. So Colette, why don't you pick up from there?
Yeah, I was going to add to what Darren said about you know the diversity. And one of the things that you should know, and I see John Regan from AIM here, and we are going to partner with John because several businesses already, just this morning, myself and my COO, Michael Benezra, was on a call with another global company that wants to use the video and the images on their website because they were saying, this is what we need. We have problems attracting diverse talent. And so I have to give John some props because I reached out to him last week about having us come and do a presentation to his board and to his members about how the business community can leverage this campaign as a way to attract and retain diverse talent. So thank you, Darren.
And Colette, do you want to talk a little bit about how some of the businesses are already starting?
Yes, I'm going to call out Wayfair because they already have it on their social media platform. They also have it on their website, and they're using it as part of their onboarding for new employees. There is nothing, I have to give this story because it was so powerful. The first time we showed the campaign to the previous mayor, he was blown away. The first time we showed it to the current mayor, Kim Janey, she teared up, literally cried, because she said, I had never seen a video or a advertisement about the city that I grew up in, 6 generations of Janeys, that reflected me. And it moved her to tears. And I said, you have a good campaign when people cry. When they see it, they're that moved. It's resonant. And I think that's the campaign that we have created for Boston and for visitors. You go to the Vineyard, hundreds of thousands of people of color come through Boston, but they don't necessarily come to Boston. This campaign is definitely going to bring them to Boston. And I always say my favorite line in the campaign is, maybe you don't know Boston. That's my favorite line.
Well, it's very affirming to see one's image represented in a campaign such as this that is representative of the fabulous, historic city of Boston. Again, I come back to that phrase, perception is reality. It changes something within you when you see that you can be recognized also as a symbol of the city. So hopefully it will have the same reaction that for other residents that it had on Kim Janey. Like, wow, okay,
yes,
now I feel a part of the city too.
And you should know that what I am proud of, most proud of about this campaign, that 100% of the people who worked on the campaign in terms of subcontractors were BIPOC companies and white women-owned companies. So what we created here, Darren, Martha, and myself, was really a new procurement model that says inclusion and equity wins. Everybody wins. It's not a zero-sum game. And Darren was very deliberate and intentional. We talked about it even before, that I really wanted to make sure that we included and lifted up a lot of the small businesses, many of whom were impacted by this pandemic. And I have to say, he did not disappoint. He deliberately went out and found not just the talent that live here, but also the small businesses. And so did the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. They had like 3 different vendors that were BIPOC women-owned businesses that they wove into this, including their new website, which was created by a young woman by the name of Kristen Ransom of Include. They had Black Girls Digital to do their social media, and Angela Pitta to also help on digital. So, you know, when people say we can't find any, where are you looking? You know, intentionally, and I would say, I'm going to steal this line from Darren, representation matters.
Matters. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, Colette, we're going to start taking some questions from the chat. And those of you who are with us today, please, if you have a question for one of the panelists, put it in the chat and we'll try to get to it. First question from Eleanor White. How can those of us who are not BIPOC support this wonderful inclusive initiative? Who would like to take that one? Let's start with Martha.
Martha, take that.
Go ahead, Martha.
Sure. I would just spread the word and just riffing off of what Colette just noted, be intentional in who you're considering as your vendors. Learn from, you know, what we did. We had some incredible vendors, but really just, you know, talk about it, and also take advantage of some of our Black and Brown owned businesses in the community. Go out to dinner somewhere at a Black owned restaurant, enjoy shopping in some of the fabulous boutiques in our neighborhoods and spend your money there, and spread the word. And when you have visitors in town, go beyond the central city, bring them out to a neighborhood, explore, get out yourself and explore, walk the walk, as they say. I think that's really the best way for us to really amplify the messaging here. And that's how we will get results from this campaign, is if people actually put their money where their mouth is and take advantage of all the amazing, amazing, unique assets in our neighborhoods.
Okay, Kate, you want to take a stab at that one? How can people outside?
I was gonna say mostly what Martha said, to just get outside your comfort zone and go beyond your own neighborhood. Tell other people about it. Everybody I show this video to, whether they're Boston locals or not, just love the video. They just want to see more, and the photography is exquisite. But just promoting these local restaurants that maybe you've never been to before. And like Martha said, walk the walk, go and spend your money in a small business that really needs it. I mean, they all need it right now. So just get out there and do something out of the ordinary. And then when you love it, tell everybody about it.
Priscilla wants to know, how long does it take the language to catch on and go viral? The name of the campaign is All Inclusive, which is like just beautiful in its simplicity. You know,
If everybody on this Zoom went out and tweeted and put it on your Facebook and your LinkedIn and your Instagram, that is viral. So just put it out there, leverage it as much as you can, talk about it, be an ambassador. We want all of Boston to become ambassadors for our campaign. We want you to embrace it, to love it, and to talk about it.
Yeah, and thank you, Lily, for putting the hashtag in the chat. So it's All Inclusive Boss. You know, and so anything that you post, if you can tag it that way, it certainly would be terrific. You know, I would also say that, you know, anytime individuals or organizations actually share the campaign, you know, there's a credibility, you know, and an endorsement that goes along with that, you know, and so that's certainly something that we've been really excited about and encouraged about. And we've already had hundreds of thousands of views, of this video. We've gotten responses from all parts of the globe, and lots of local ones as well. But I would say that the assets are out there. The website is there for you to help you plan itineraries and things along those lines. But sharing this is certainly key to this taking hold.
Carol Copeland Thomas wants to know, how can the Multicultural Committee of the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau help expand this important initiative?
Martha, do you want to take that one?
Carol knows what I'm going to say. I think Carol wants to hear it from from Colette and Darren. But we've had a committee in place. Carol is our most dedicated, I would say, committee chair at the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. She, as she noted, she chairs our multicultural committee. Many of those members are on this call today. They've been incredibly supportive of our efforts throughout the years. And I think, Carol, just as we noted, sharing all these assets as broadly as we possibly can, and then your continual feedback is always important from the committee. We did have a private presentation to the committee last week through our staff, and the campaign was very well received. But I think for us, continual improvement will be what will make this campaign last for a very, very long time. So I do want to thank Carol for her commitment and that committee. They meet every month religiously and have been great partners for us, and really have provided us with some great guidance on the topic for many years, not just at the start of this campaign.
Candelaria is asking if there are plans to include the neighborhood-based Main Streets programs to participate in this and work to promote themselves collectively. Kate.
Yes, yes, there are. We have presented this to the Main Streets program. I'm the director of small business, Natalia Urtube, and I have done several presentations together. I'm always there for their small business calls every week too. So if anybody ever has any questions, they've launched their own Be Local campaign, and we've done some cross collaboration with them on that as well. But definitely, many of the businesses that are focused on this are part of that Main Streets district. So yeah,
it seems through this campaign, everybody is finally swimming in the same direction.
Exactly.
What does the future of the campaign look like, and how can more community partners get involved? Is a question from Kiki Spezio.
I can start off the answer to that. The Mayor Janey has dedicated extra funding in our next budget cycle to continue this campaign. So we're really looking forward to moving the campaign forward. I'll let the creative folks talk about what they see in moving it forward, but it's definitely not ending. So,
well, I think one way that the community can help is we really are going to put a challenge out to the business community that this is really about how you live your diversity, equity, and inclusion commitment in basically attracting talent. And I feel like the business community can step up and help by, adding some money to the coffers. We are thinking about maybe creating a nonprofit, all-inclusive fund that business can contribute to really support this campaign as a way to expand it and to extend the length of it. I would hate to see this campaign be all exciting and then all of a sudden it's over. We have to keep it going.
Yeah, Kiki has a part two. She wants to know, in the short term, is there a media toolkit available, and can any organization start sharing this video and using for any purpose similar to what Wayfair did? She says she'd like to use the video to help market the appeal of our city.
Martha, Darren?
Yeah, no, we have assets that we can certainly share with anyone that wants them, similar to what we did with Wayfair, which would be the video, and also some of our social media handles, and also the graphic standards. So that's already been developed. We've also We're also putting the finishing touches on an infographic that highlights the results of the research, which I think is will be a great tool to sort of frame the conversation around why we're doing the campaign and why we landed here. So we'll work through Get Connected and make sure that we put together a bundle that that they can share with anyone that's interested on this call today.
Is there a postcard component that can supplement the campaign for those who may be influenced via print?
There are components to this that we have conceived and are socializing right now that certainly share some overlap. And I don't want to say too much about sort of what we're thinking about, but we do think that this idea of being able to pull together clear itineraries that help to support many different types of visits to the city will likely be a part of the second push. We are thinking that we'll take a deeper dive into some of the neighborhoods as part of the second push as well. So
as the second push, I'm sure that there are.
Hey, Darren.
Now that the campaign, pull it back, Colette. It's yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
awesome.
Darren.
Yeah. If you hold it too close to the camera, we can't see it. So hold it up to your chest. As part of the second part of the campaign, is there also going to be an effort to reach out to different neighborhoods that reflect different languages?
Mm-hmm. That's also, part of the consideration right now, and even currently, some of the ads that we've created are both in Spanish as well as in English, and that may be something that we'll continue to expand upon. So.
Mm-hmm. How long is the campaign currently slated for?
Sure, and probably I should just also add the website itself is accessible across sort of many different types of needs or use. So it's both ADA compliant, but also you can also access it across sort of many different languages as well. So that's
and the website is going to be functional, that people can go and update it. And we are actually in the midst of putting together a digital magazine about the campaign that people will also have access to, because it will live on the all-inclusive website, the microsite. So yes.
Now, I know we got to give you guys an opportunity to get this thing ramped up, but you can tell that everybody's thirsty for more all-inclusive assets, which is, I think, an indication of the popularity and the success of the campaign. So how long is the campaign currently slated for?
So this initial push in terms of paid media is about 6 weeks, and what we really were looking to do here was to hit people while they're considering where they're going to be taking a vacation. The goal of this isn't to open the floodgates immediately, but certainly the data currently suggests that people are booking vacations, particularly as they're becoming more and more vaccinated. Some of the components of this, whether we're talking about events or and some of the other pieces of this first push will extend beyond that. But in terms of paid media, it's about 6 weeks.
6 weeks. So, Martha, do you think that with the popularity of this campaign, that even though it's running for 6 weeks now, also coinciding with people being vaccinated, it's spring, summertime, people coming back out of the house, there's a lot of excitement being created around the city. Is this all-inclusive effort something that might, be visible quarterly, annually? What are kind of the thoughts for continuing it?
Actually, daily.
Daily.
Yeah, we have woven the campaign into a lot of our traditional marketing efforts. So the all-inclusive website lives off of the Visit Boston campaign. We did that strategically so it would benefit from all of our existing SEO efforts and paid efforts. The social handles are the CVB social handles. That's what we use to post. And again, we have robust following on those. So as opposed to creating all new social and handles and trying to gain traction with followers, we are using our followers to promote this campaign. We have influencers in the marketplace regularly that are sharing their own stories. There's some amazing stories out there that have already been shared. So this will become part of our DNA for our efforts to promote Boston proper, for sure. We still obviously promote the greater Boston region beyond this with some of our other programs, but this is a core part of our program.
Well, Boston is such an economic driver in terms of tourism, so it makes sense to focus it here. We have a question from Camila de la Vega Maldonado. She's a graduating student from UMass Boston. Her question is, campaigns such as these often help bottom lines and quotas that the city and private enterprises are trying to achieve in terms of diversity numbers. Yet those who are least visible and least uplifted in the long term are the young Black and brown artists that this work could not happen without. How can you envision a future of public relations and marketing where the artist's well-being are being centered and uplifted?
So I would say, first off, I'm part of that community that you're speaking about. I'm a graduate of Mass College of Art and Design. Before I studied design, I was very much an artist. And so for us, my dad's also a professional artist. So for us, as we thought about who we wanted to bring into this campaign, and as we were identifying our partners, whether those are photographers, videographers, anyone else, we also wanted to make sure that everyone had what they needed in order to be successful, that certainly also includes things like compensation. As we've started to think a little bit about just who some of the subjects are that have shown up inside of this campaign, to not just showcase art institutions, but to also showcase working artists, and so that certainly has been a part of what we've created so far. I also think that is a substantial opportunity for us inside of this next push. Just given that artists in particular are able to create culture, help transform how we see things, and play an essential role in what life looks like in the city.
We're almost out of time, and I'm going to turn it over to Colette. Just one more question in here. Audrey wants to know if you would consider sharing it with local educational institutions, specifically admissions offices, to attract and retain students in Boston. I'm on the Boston University Advisory Board, and we're always getting questions about how to bring more students into the city. And so that might be another layer of opportunity to spread the word about the wonderful things that are happening here in Boston. Colette,
Absolutely.
I'm going to turn it back to you, and I want to thank all of the amazing panelists for their words on this groundbreaking, game-changing campaign. Colette, you've always had a vision, and you've executed beautifully on this one. So Colette, let me turn it over to you for some closing remarks.
Thank you. It takes a village. And look at my village. Darren, Martha, Dave O'Donnell, Kelly Chun, Helena, Jakai, and a really terrific team, and the Multicultural Marketing Committee of the Greater Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. So I am going to, because many of you came in after we showed the video, we're going to close out. Before we close out, we're going to show the video again so you can really see it and enjoy it. And Karen, you never say no to me. And I love you for that.
You're hard to say no to, as we all know. And I love you too. I love you too.
Yeah. So thank you for always saying yes and for saying yes for all the right things. And I want to just thank Kate and the city for giving us this opportunity, and for Martha and Darren for being the best partners you could want. This is family. I said, as you can imagine, in any creative situation, we have our little differences, but it's all love. And we came out with a fantastic campaign. I thought I saw Mary Jo Meisner on here. Mary Jo was the whip cracker on the scheduling, all the crazy schedules to get us together on Zoom. So thank you, Mary Jo, for being our, coordinator and our person who kept us all on track. So on that note, I'm going to ask my team to just throw in that video again so you can see it.
Boston. It's the city you know. The city of history. The city of champions. But we are also a city of people. A city of resilient, passionate, determined, loving people who have overcome odds and stared down challenges. A city of cobblestones and corner stores, mom and pops, five-star shops, unwavering classics. This is a city where new voices are emerging, determined to work harder, dream bigger, and become stronger. Whatever you seek, whoever you are, there's a place for you here. An unexpected adventure, a fresh flavor, a sound you've never heard before. Our doors are open. Our tables are set. This is Boston, and we are all inclusive.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Thank you all. Please spread the word and stay tuned. Anything else, Darren or Martha or Kate?
We have the social media packet is in the chat if you didn't see it, but then we'll also make sure it gets sent out to you so that you can help spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and
Thank you,
thank you.
everybody.
This was terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Martha, Kate, Darren, Colette. Thanks for pulling this together on behalf of all of the residents of the city of Boston who now see themselves reflected in an all-inclusive campaign. Thank you.